If we have a lot of opinions and views about about practice or Dhamma or how to practice, then to whatever place we will go there with our views and opinions and are not ready to take in what is taught at this place or that place. Views and opinions make the heart very hard. Look at your heart. If it's hard like a stone, or if it's open-minded. Open-minded, if it has loving kindness, if it's open, then things that are taught at this place or that place actually can flow in the heart. If the heart is closed by our views and opinions we have about the practice, or we have about the style, or we have about this or that, then our heart is closed and nothing can come in. And that's no use to go to this place and to that place and find out what the teaching is here or find out what the teaching is there. There's a nice story when there was a very famous teacher in China, and there was a student who studied all of the different teachings that were present in China at that time. So, one time he decided because he has heard of this famous teacher, that he does not know his teaching, so he went up and saw this teacher. In China there's a tea ceremony, so this teacher invited that student or that man to come and have a cup of tea. So, there was a cup and there was a pot of tea. So he poured in the tea, and poured and poured and poured. The student thought, doesn't he see that the cup is overflowing? The cup is overflowing there. He doesn't see it. So he said, don't you see that the cup is overflowing? Then the teacher stopped and told the student, it's just the same way with your mind. Your mind is full. How can it accept the teaching that I have for you? So if your heart is full of views and opinions about teaching, about Dhamma, about practice, then this is not the right place to be. Because you will not take in what is taught here. You will not be able to practice what is practiced here. And you will not be able to receive or experience the fruits of the practice that are practiced here. So now look at your heart. Is it open-minded or is it closed down? Look at the heart very carefully. This is not the... you can see it at your physical heart as well. If the physical heart is tight, then you know you're not open-minded. Then just open it up. Ask yourself whenever the heart is closed. And the heart is closed when we have a lot of views and opinions. The heart is closed and hard when we have fear, when we have worries, and we are afraid. That's when the heart is really closed. Ask yourself, look at the heart, ask yourself if this is a pleasant feeling. So if it's not a pleasant feeling, and according to my experience, it is never a pleasant feeling, then open your heart up really open it up. Just tell yourself to open the heart. To let the things come in. To let new things come in. Just open it up. Make it open. Be open-minded. Open-minded, be open-hearted. It's one and the same thing. If you have an open mind, we have an open heart. If our mind is closed, our heart is closed. And a closed heart will not take anything. A closed heart will always find subjections towards what is said, or towards what is taught, or towards what is practiced. We are here to experience something. Here is something taught in a way that you probably have not heard. And there are things that can be experienced because of this kind of practice. So open your heart for it. Try to follow as best as you can. And the more open your heart is, the better will be the result. If you see yourself objecting, then look at your heart and see if it's closed down. And then try to open it up. A heart that is completely open is a heart full of loving kindness. It's full of metta. It's not afraid of anything in this world. That's an open heart. And it's a very pleasant feeling, because it's soft and it's not hard as a stone. We are so full of views and opinions. We have our ideas about this and about that. But our experience, the real experience, or the views and opinions, or the knowledge that comes from our real experience, where is it? And what is the difference between an experience and a view and opinion? A view and opinion and idea are just the same thing as a theoretical person. A theoretical person can climb any mountain. He says, of course, why should I be able to climb this mountain? A theoretical person can design whatever it wants. It can design a spacecraft that goes to the end of the universe. In theory, we can design everything. In theory, we can do everything. The moment it comes to practice, we see the difficulties. So the theoretical person who thinks that he can climb the mountain, goes 1, 2, 3 steps, that is a lot of hardship, but in theory I can do it, so I know I can do it, and that's the end. He doesn't prove it to himself if he really can climb it. He doesn't prove to himself if he really can go the way. He thinks in theory he can go. But that is the difference between a theoretical person and a practical person. A practical person just climbs the mountain. And a practical person, just sees the difference between theory and practice. Theory are just our ideas, our views and opinions. In our ideas, views and opinion, we can do everything what we want. But in practice, what can we do? We never test it out. We believe it, that we can do it, and that's enough. We do not prove it to ourselves that we actually can do it. There's a nice joke about engineers. I don't know, maybe it's in English as well, but it was in Germany. There's an engineer, there's a physicist, and there's a mathematician. So, somebody wanted to test these three kinds of persons. So they locked him up. They locked all 3 of them in separate rooms, just with a chair and a desk, and nothing else. They gave each of one a can of food. So they locked them up for 24 hours, just to see what they're going to do. After 24 hours, they opened the first door, the door of the engine. They saw he has opened the can somehow and ate the food. Then they went into the next room, in the room of the physicist. They saw also he had opened the can, looked satisfied, had eaten the food. So they went in the third room. They saw the mathematician smiling, sitting in his chair, but the can of food was closed. And then they asked him, why didn't you eat the food? Oh, very simple, I defined it open, so it was open. So he didn't have to do all the work to open it up. He didn't have to find all the ways and means, to get the food open. He just defined it to be open, and that was enough for him. So he was just living up completely in his head. And that is the difference between a theoretical person and a practical person. The practical person finds a way to open it, and the theoretical just defines it as open. So the theoretical person in the way of practice, just defines that he is in Nibbana, and that's enough for him. So he doesn't have to worry about all the hardship that goes along the way, or that comes along the way. He defines every step, and then he believes that this step has been taken, and that's it. And from there he takes on his conclusions and defines the next step until he is in Nibbana. It just doesn't have to go the way. But considering that, he will starve after a while. If you give him 24 cans of food, and he defines them all open, his stomach will have no food, and he will die. And that's what is going to happen. So that's just for a little bit of entertainment. But I wanted to make a point with you. The path of practice is not the path of theory. It's not the path of views and opinions, what we have. It's a path of experience, of practical experience. When we think about it, the path of practice, till the end of the path, till the stage of Sotapanna, the stream enterer, or the once returner, or the non-returner, or the Arahant. It's a practical path. Along the practical path, we have a lot of signs that tell us how to go. They just don't do the job for us. We have to go. So we have to go this path, and this path is a lot of hardship. But what comes at the end? The stream enterer knows he will not go down to hell anymore. He is relieved, and whatever he does, in a fixed amount of time, he will enter the arahantship, or he will achieve the arahantship. At most, he has 7 years or 7 lives to live. After the 7th life, he will reach arahantship, at most. The once returner, he will have 1 more life to go until he reaches arahantship. The non-returner will not come back into this world anymore. But he has at most 50,000 years until he can reach arahantship. If he doesn't do anything. He doesn't need to do anything. He's the only person that will fall up the way to arahantship. He has developed sati and panya that leads to the end of dukkha, to that stage where it's running in the background, where it's running automatically. That's why he's going to cut it loose within 50,000 years, at most. And the Arahant does not have to worry about anything anymore. So these are the stages That are the stages of freedom. The lowest kind of freedom is the freedom that we know we do not drop into the hell realms anymore or in the lower realms anymore. And the freedom that we know that we will reach within a limited amount of time the arahantship. So why should we go this path? What is it going to promise us? It is promising us the end of dukkha, the end of discomfort, of dissatisfaction, of restlessness, and of pain and suffering. That is one thing. The end of dukkha, it also promises vimutti. Vimutti is freedom. But the path to this end is a path of hardship. It's a path of endurance. It's a path of patience. It's a path of determination. So a lot of hardship will come along the path that leads us to freedom. It leads us to the freedom of the mind. The freedom of the mind is the greatest thing. The Lord Buddha said about Nibbana, it's paramang sukha. It is the ultimate happiness. You're independent. You're completely independent. You do not depend neither on the body, nor on the other khandhas, nor do you depend on other beings. You're completely independent. That is freedom. Now think about this little hardship we have along the path and what other people in the world are doing for independence. They fight for independence. They fight in revolution. They fight in wars, knowing that they're probably going to die in the body. But nevertheless, they don't want to confine to the rule of the upper class, or they do not want to confine to the rule of the other nation that rules. They do not want this tyrant that is ruling them. Whatever tyrant it is. Is it another nation? Or is it another tribe? Or is it another person? Or whoever. Whoever tells him he has to do this or he has to live like this, they don't want it. That's why they take weapons and fight. And they fight and they get wounded or they die. But they don't mind. And we have seen it in history. Everywhere. In every country, in every continent, they're fighting. Until today, they are still fighting for their freedom. They are either freedom fighters or independence fighters. Now let's just have a look in Europe now, in Eastern Europe, how much all these different tribes are fighting for their independence. In Yugoslavia, in Czech, and now in the southern provinces of former Russia, fighting for their independence, knowing that they're probably losing their life. When we fight for freedom in the sense of Dhamma, we do not lose our lives. We find freedom, the freedom of the mind. That's different. And the hardship is pretty much the same. When you think, going as a warrior into, or as a soldier into war, you're pretty much afraid. Pretty much afraid when you hear the rolling of the cannons, or when you hear the rollings of the bullets that come towards you. Or when you see the gas or when you feel the gas, or when you inhale the gas. It's not only that you get wounded. You can become, some of the legs or some of the things are missing once you get out of this war. But you're prepared to take this on. For what? For freedom or independence in the worldly sense. You're willing to give up your life. You're willing to give up parts of your body. But for the independence of the mind, you think it after a month, or maybe 2 months, or 3 months. This is too much. I cannot take it anymore. And you go back in the world and leave everything as it is. You leave the tyrant unaffected. The tyrant that rules you. And the tyrant that rules you is nothing else than avijja. Avijja, not knowing, mental blindness, or whatever you call it. That's what makes you want this or loathe that. That what you define to be yourself or what you like to be. This is the tyrant. He constantly tells you. And once you have just started for 1 day of practice, you will hear him, his voice, very clearly. I don't want to do this, I want to lay down, I want to eat some food, I want to drink some water, I want to go to the toilet, or I want to take a walk, or I want to go into town, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to all day long. Or I want to sleep. I want to read a book, I want to go to the movies, I want to do this, I want to do that. All day long. This is the tyrant I'm talking about. And when I talk about the freedom, then this is the freedom from this tyrant. Because there will be no more wanting this or wanting that. There will be just quiet, calmness, and ultimate happiness. Whatever is there, it will be ultimate happiness. Whatever we have, that's what we have. Whatever we don't have, that's what we don't have. We don't mind one thing or the other. We are just happy with how the things are, because we have understood them. We have completely understood them. We have completely investigated and understood them, and we know they are nothing compared to the freedom of the mind. Now think about when you're going on the spiritual path. Even if you don't like this language of the warrior, if you don't like this language of the soldier on the spiritual battle. The Lord Buddha talked about this, Thanachan Man talked about this, and Thanachan Mahabua also talks about it. He talks about it like you are going into a boxing ring. The box, and you are untrained. And in the ring, there is a champion of boxers. And that's nothing else than avijja. So you go, the first time, you make the battle. You go in the ring, and a second later, you're knocked off. Once you regain your consciousness, well, you go in again. Until you understand how this champion is using his fist. And then once, after a while, and after a lot of chaos, you come in, and then you will be able to duck. You learn the ways of the champion, you observe him, you watch him, and you duck. That is the first stage. When you see, okay, you don't have to follow. You don't get anything. You don't get knocked, KO. Then you learn how to use your fist. And the first victory is the first blow you can give the champion. He might not be knocked off, but he has a blow and staggers back. And that is the first victory. And you do that, you go into the ring, you're knocked off, you go in until you defeat the champion. If you want this kind, Muay in Thai, it's boxing, it's Thai boxing, it's a national sport, like we have football as a national sport. So that's why he probably takes this example. But it's the same thing. The Lord Buddha said, to fight an army of soldiers or trained soldiers, it's easier than to fight oneself. So the language of war, the language of fighting is pretty much the basis of our practice. If we do not fight for freedom, we will not gain freedom. And this tyrant that is ruling us, he will not give it for free. He cannot be persuaded, because he's the master of persuasion. He cannot be persuaded to give up his power. Nobody in the world can be persuaded to give up his money or his power, just for nothing. So we have to fight him. One way or the other, we have to fight him. We have to fight to take away his army and let it use it for us. Or to look through his tricks, when we take this boxing, to look through his tricks and fight him with our tricks. That's the way. That's all the way from the beginning of the practice to the end of the practice. Don't get fooled that you can persuade avijja to disappear. Just don't get fooled. There's just no way. You cannot persuade it, you cannot take it easy on him. It is the main power that lives off you. And as long as he lives off you, then there's no being that lives off another that lets the other person that he lives off go freely. No one. If he had slaves that work for us and produce all the riches for us, we would not let them go freely. They have to take weapons and fight us before we let them go. And that is the same thing. This avijja has so much power. And think about it. It's not the first life we live. We have lived so many lives. And he had gained so much power over us that it's that we are nearly completely powerless. So the path of practice is to regain the power. To get the tricks of this master and to fight him back. And of course, fighting back will hurt us. It will hurt us, but the pain will go. And when we get up, we do it again. We do it again. We are knocked down. We get up and fight it again. We knock down, get up and fight it again. Until the final blow. Until avijja is completely destroyed. And then we are free of this tyrant. The tyrant will never come back. The moment it's destroyed, there's only freedom. And there's only ultimate happiness. Vimutti paramam sukham. The ultimate happiness. And that's why we have to take this path. So just get rid of your ideas that you can persuade the tyrant to go away. You can try it and you see what he's going to do. He will laugh in the back. He will have a good laugh. If you really don't fight him, you will not experience any difficulty. So along the path of practice, if your practice goes very smooth, and there are no difficulties and no hindrances coming up, you know you're not actually going along the path. You're going along the path of avijja, of your enemy. Because as long as you do not fight him, he will not fight back. As long as you do what he says, he lets you do. He's not going to blame you, he's not going to give you pain and hardship. But the moment you go against him, he will let you know that this is not the correct way. So he produces pain, he produces fear, he produces whatever he can catch you with to stay under his reign. Whatever. And that, of course, depends on the characters of each individual. With one, he can use doubt. With another, he can use fear. With another, he can use worries, and so and so. With others, he can use greed, or with others, he can use hate. And that's what he's going to use. And he uses whatever means he has. As long as we don't investigate the means and cut the means off that he can use against us, he will be using it. He will be using it to keep us under his reign, because his only interest, because he is living off us. If we don't allow him to live off us, he has to die. Now, to come back, to fight for independence, to fight for freedom, that's not a topic in the world. That is done all day long, all year long, all the time that we remember in history. There has been no time where there was no war in this world. And if the war is not on the national basis, it was on the basis of the towns or the families. Families fighting each other, families fighting within each other, families fighting other families. Always. There's no stop. So the path of the practice is the path of fighting avijja. And just be sure you cannot persuade avijja to go away. Please, 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 I don't want you, I understand, I don't want you, please go away. You can try it out and see if it comes. It does not. It smiles and says, yes, I'm going away, I'm going away. Or it smiles and says, I'm not there anymore, I'm not there. But it's still ruling. Check it out. The path to deliverance, the path to freedom, is the path to fight. However you call it. You can call it the fight of cleverness against avijja, you can call it the fight of soldiers against the soldiers of avijja. And when you think about it, when you express it in terms of battling the enemy, then in the beginning of your practice, you are battling just the low grade of soldiers. They are not actually trained soldiers. They are just bought people that will fight. This is the first stage. Once you overcome them, once you have trained yourself so much that you can defeat them, then the soldiers come, the regular soldiers come. And avijja will send the regular soldiers. Once you are trained to fight them, then he will send his trained soldiers. His good, well-trained soldiers. Once you can fight them, then comes his elite, his top soldiers, special soldiers. And once you fight them, then you have to fight avijja. That is the end. There are so many similes. Tanacha Mahabua gives so many similes. Catching the fish, or catching the bandit, or catching the instigator that is hiding in the cave. And he just sends out his soldiers or sergeants or whatever to trouble us or to keep us under his reign. So one way or the other, we have to fight our way through. We have to fight our way through him. It's a mental fight. It's not a physical fight. If we could do that physically, for some of us, it would be very easy. If you would imagine Avijja to be a real boxer, it would be much easier to fight this real boxer than to fight the mental boxer that is within our own heart. So, I hope you understand why it's so often in Theravada Buddhism this language of war. War, this language of battle, this language of fight against the killing. Because out of the experience of the people who have gone the way, there is no way to convince Avijja to go away. There's the only way to fight it. To fight it with sati panya. That means with mindfulness and cleverness. With mindfulness and wisdom. You have to undermine the weapons of Avijja that keeps you under your reign. That keeps you under his reign. So, however you call it, however you want to describe it, once you have gone the path to the end, you will know what it is. And then you can use your own language to describe it. But for me and for my own venerable teacher, it's a battle of fight. It just doesn't give in. And if you don't fight, that means if you don't have the determination to go against the difficulties Avijja sends you, then you have lost the battle. If you don't undermine the power of Avijja, if you do not look through the tricks of Avijja, then you have lost the battle. However you call it, you have to develop sati panya. And not only sati panya, you have to develop your silas. And the silas are morality. The silas are the 5 priests. So I guess that is for today. Now get your samadhi going. Get your samadhi, train your samadhi so that you can use the to sharpen the knife of wisdom. Only wisdom will cut through. Looks like the chickens have their own talk. I'm going to interfere with it. Samadhi, in the beginning we train samadhi. We need the ability to rest our mind. We really need that. We need the ability to be able to concentrate on one point. Otherwise, we cannot do our work. Otherwise, we will not be able to develop the tools, to develop the power to fight Avijja. And Avijja must be destroyed, one way or the other. It must be annihilated. And only sati and panya can help us. So the path to the deliverance is the path of Sila, Samadhi and Panya. Sila, our foundation of moral conduct. Samadhi, the ability to concentrate on one object and to develop sati and to rest. To take a rest. Because the work is hard, so once in a while we have to take a rest. And Panya is the developing of wisdom, is investigation. Investigation of whatever comes into the mind, investigation of the 5 khandhas, and in the beginning especially investigation of the body. The body is the mainstay, the body is the nurturing earth for greed and hate. And if you have not removed greed and hate yet, we will not be able to really efficiently work at the other khandhas, the nama khandhas like Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara and Vinyana. We might be able to do a little bit of it, but we will not get the full picture because greed and hate will always interfere. So the first object of investigation will be the body. And it will be the body, and it will be the body, and it will be the body. Today, tomorrow, this year, next year, maybe the next 10 or 20 or 30 years. Until we have completely understood the true nature of the body. Once we have completely understood the true nature of the body, the true nature of greed and hate have no foothold anymore. They cannot exist. So they have to disappear. Once they disappear, we investigate the 4 nama khandhas, the 4 mind khandhas. As I said, that is memory and association, thinking, ideas, consciousness, and feeling. It's mind feeling. It's not bodily feeling. Bodily feeling goes together with the body. So this is the path of practice. And in the beginning, we really do have to develop this samadhi. Take a rest. When you're at home, you like to take a rest, you go and have a nap, or you go and sleep, don't you? Or somebody who has not taken a rest since he was born, you all slept, and normally you sleep every day. Maybe it's sometimes 3 hours, sometimes 9 hours, or 12 hours, or I don't know. But when have you last put your mind really to sleep? When have you put your mind, last time you put your mind into Appana Samadhi? And Appana Samadhi is compared with really deep sleep. And then you know, if you haven't done it since the beginning of your life, then you know what you have to develop. Then you know what you have to do. Just get it, a good sleep. And the mind, when it comes out, will be completely refreshed, vigorous, and energetic. And then we can put it to. So that's enough for today. Close this up.